Guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another episode of the SoCal Watch Reviews podcast. I am Miguel. This is episode 74. P. Ross, how's it going? Good morning.
It's going. Episode 74. We are in the building and we are ready to get lit.
Absolutely. So, customary, we have another guest, but this time we brought somebody good. So I hope you guys enjoy it because we are super excited. P. Ross.
Yes. First of all, we have a gentleman, okay?
Mm-hmm.
This guy is the co-founder and CEO of Christopher Ward, okay?
Mm-hmm. You heard that right, Christopher
You understand?
Ward.
Christopher Ward, one of the great watch brands that's around today and forever, of course. So let's get into it. We got Mike France in the building. Let's get it.
Mike.
Let's get it.
Hi guys, that's quite some introduction. I don't normally get introduced as well as that, so thank you.
Hey, it's just what we do, you know. It's what we
No,
do.
it really is what we do. We're kind of known in the podcast world or YouTube world for having some of the best intros. I can never do that. I'll probably sound so monotone and boring introducing you, but my man P. Ross, and he has that covered. So
good job, P. Ross. Good job.
Thank you, sir. It's what we do, man. It's what we do.
So, Mike, we actually forgot to ask you. So, before we started recording, you asked us where we're recording from. So, Southern California and P. Ross in Ohio. Cincinnati, Ohio. Where are you coming from?
I'm speaking to you from my home in a village called Bledlow, which is a small, ancient village in the Chiltern Hills in Buckinghamshire, in England.
Wow.
Okay.
And here I am just in California. Oh, well, thank you so much for taking the time to come and speak to us. Obviously, this got set up through one of your employees or assistant, Rosie. If she's watching, listening, thank you so much for setting this up. So yeah, thanks for coming on. And before we get to the questions, everything, I am really curious to see what you're wearing. When we were talking, I keep seeing you kind of raise your arm, and I'm curious what watch you're wearing.
Today I'm wearing the C63 Super Compressor.
It's beautiful.
In Ocean Blue, which we launched last September, which is the first genuine super compressor in 50 years.
That is nice.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
One of my very favorite watches. Yeah.
Looks awesome.
Nice.
Looks beautiful.
Ooh.
P. Ross.
Seiko 5 SNK 789 with straps code Croc strap on it.
Classic. Today I have a watch on that I don't think anybody's really reviewed or talked about, and I'm excited. They're actually here in California. It's a really, really small brand. It's called, let me make sure I get it right, Aetheros, and that's a Greek that means partner. It's the Mission 71, so it's a dive style watch, crazy watch. But the cool thing about this watch, and the reason I wanna make a review, and I'm partnering up with the brand owner Dan, is because 20% of the proceeds are going to go to save the oceans. So I'll go into that once I do the review, but I thought that was very noble. And there is nothing online about this brand. He's a small, young brand here in California. So I thought it was fitting for me to wear this and just kind of give him a little bit of a shout out, if you will. And then also, I never wear this t-shirt, but another fellow YouTuber, I don't know if you guys could see it, it's the Speedmaster. It's a Speedy. It was given to me as a t-shirt, just the gift arrived in the mail. This girl named Eve, she runs a YouTube channel and an Instagram account by the name of Alias Steve Dan. She's really cool, super supportive. She always watches the podcast, listens to the podcast, comments on everything I do. So I figured I'd wear the t-shirt she gifted me, and just shout out to Eve.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. So Mike, everybody knows Christopher Ward. I'm sure all the watch enthusiasts watching, listening, they know about your brand, they know who you are. But why don't we talk about you as a person? So what personally got you into watch collecting?
This, which is
wow,
birthday present that my parents gave me on my 21st birthday, which is a Tissot C7 automatic.
Wow.
And that's a long time ago now. at least 6 or 7 years ago since I was 21.
Right.
Now
Um,
I may be wrong about this. Is that the one with the Omega movement in it?
yeah, that's absolutely right.
Okay.
Wow. I
Okay.
think it's off camera,
Yeah.
Mike. Can you put it more towards the middle so we
Yeah.
could see that beauty? Wow, look at
Yeah,
that,
that
P.
is
Ross.
nice. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That is
So
well taken care of,
that
Mike.
was my first proper watch. Yeah, and
Wow.
I was
that's what got me
actually looking
interested.
at one of those on eBay, but I lost. So
Is that right?
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
lost the bid. Pretty sure I
Well,
did.
this is now more than 40 years ago, and it's still working beautifully.
That's
Nice.
awesome. That's awesome. So that got you into watch collecting, and then from there, did it start an obsession for you, or was it fair to say you just kind of?
It was a slow burn, Miguel. I got more latterly. I got into IWC.
Oh,
And things like their Mark 15. I became a bit obsessed about that, but it wasn't really until we started Christopher Ward that the obsession turned into multiple watches of.
oh, wow, that's
Okay.
interesting. So before then, you were just kind of like a casual watch.
I loved watches. I would buy them occasionally, but I wouldn't call myself an obsessive. And then when you enter the watch industry, in whatever form, you guys are a part of the industry.
Yeah.
Then something grabs you about it, doesn't it? And
Yeah.
you can't be in this industry for very long without becoming quite obsessed about it.
Wow.
I think you're right.
I don't know if you really want to talk about this, but what does your collection look like now?
It's mainly Christopher Ward.
Right. Of course.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Of course.
But often very very unusual ones. So one of my very favorite watches, which I've got here, which is one of very few sector watches. We did a sector watch about 12 years or so ago.
Never seen that before.
Sector watches based on the clocks that were used by the Royal Air Force during the Second World War.
Oh, okay.
To time the approach of enemy aircraft. Very famous clock in British wartime history, and we just wanted to reflect it in a watch. So we turned it into a watch, which we did a limited edition of, which is and this is serial number 1, which I actually won in an auction. So I bid for this watch.
Oh wow. Wow.
We sold out. I didn't have one. It came to auction, so I entered the auction bid for it and won it. And that's one of my favorite watches.
Cool.
That's
cool.
a nice looking watch.
That's
it's
nice.
different. I never really seen that, but
yeah.
Hey, I noticed.
Not many people have.
I noticed everything you've been pulling out. All your watches are in leather straps. You're more of a leather strap kind of guy, as opposed to.
Yeah. I mean, as you know, people tend to go one of two routes, don't they? You're either a bracelet guy or you're a strap guy. Primarily, I'm a strap guy. But I'm, I have the occasional bracelet. So guy watches I quite like on bracelets, and I think we're going to be talking about it later. The new Sealander collection, which is about to be released. That really suits a bracelet, so I shall be wearing that on a bracelet. But probably 80% of my watches, I tend to go down the strap route.
I'm curious. Do you have any Casios in the collection? Casios, obviously near and dear to both P. Ross and myself, since we were kids.
I'm afraid I perhaps should lie and say I do. I've got dozens of them, but they're over there to the right and just out of reach. But that wouldn't be true. I don't own a single Casio. I think I did. I know I did back in the late 70s. Yeah, before you guys probably were born.
I think I was born late 70s.
Yeah,
I was around.
You were around. I'm pleased to hear it. And I like many people, I had a Casio at that time, because they were They're pretty cool now, of course, but they were the sort of one of the leading lights of the sort of the quartz revolution, in a sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Mm.
And obviously Seiko. We can't forget Seiko.
Oh yeah.
No. Seiko. I'm a great admirer of everything Seiko do. I particularly love Grand Seiko, which I think they've elevated Grand Seiko to an incredibly high level now, I think.
It's crazy.
Mhm.
It's crazy. Yeah, no, Grand Seiko definitely next level. And it's cool that they're getting the respect from obviously the CEO of or CEO and co-founder of Christopher Ward. So you heard it here first. So
Oh yeah.
giving Grand Seiko some props. So that's cool.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
deserve
sounds
it.
good.
So most of us has heard the story of how the company was founded back in 2005 with the
Mhm.
help of your friend Peter. And CW was the first ever online watch brand. Can you elaborate on more of the origin story and how it feels to be a pioneer in the industry as far as online sales go?
Sure. Peter and I had we recently sold a business that we owned called Early Learning Centre, which was quite a large educational toys business in the UK and across the world. And after a month, I was pretty bored, and we'd grown. This was we sold it in April 2004. By May, early June, we were wanting to do something else. We built a pretty big online business already in toys, and people had been saying you'll never sell big climbing frames and kids' toys online, and we had. So we knew that the world of online was growing. And when you look to start another business or any business, it's best that you try and find something that you love and enjoy doing. And so we loved brands, we loved retailing, and we loved watches. So to put all those things together seemed an obvious thing to do. We had a view that it was going to get tougher in bricks and mortar, and that the world was headed online. So we thought, well, why don't we start an online watch brand, even though we knew nothing about the industry at all. But we knew about online, and we believed it was going to get bigger. So we decided, right, we know about online, we don't know about watches, let's go and find out about watches. And we were very lucky that we had people we knew who were in the watch industry. We'd been in the watch industry in very early days. One good friend, a guy who ended up running, he's Taiwanese Chinese. He ended up running Adidas's second largest clothing retailer in China. But when he was a young man, he had wanted to be a watchmaker, and he'd gone across to, back in the 60s, the Swiss industry took 32 people, mainly of Asian origin, but not entirely. They took 32 people into Switzerland to teach them the dark arts of horology and watchmaking. And Woody was one of them. And he had intended to become, and there were 32 of them. They became known as the Class of 32. They only ever did it once, the Swiss, because many of these guys came out of Switzerland and the training and set up businesses in competition with the Swiss brand. So they never did it again. But Woody was hoping to set up his own watch brand, but then his father died. His father owned a big textile company in Taiwan. He was the eldest son. Therefore, he took over the textile business, which grew to be this huge, many thousands of people, and he employed many thousands of people in central China, but always kept an interest in watches. And when I was in the fashion industry at the time, as was Chris, and we would be negotiating with Woody on occasion, and he would, in those negotiations, he'd take his watch off, he would get his tools, he would take the back plate off his watch, and he would regulate his watch in the middle of a negotiation about t-shirts.
What?
Wow.
So we knew that Woody knew a lot about this. Was to put us off. It probably succeeded as well, but you never know. So we knew Woody knew a lot about watches, and anyway, we contacted him when we decided to set up a watch brand. And what we didn't know is that Woody had kept in touch with all of the class of 32. And some of these guys now were running, the Asian officers for some very large Swiss brands. They'd become very senior in the watch industry. And because they were friends of Woody, we were then invited to meet some of them before we'd even set up Christopher Ward, and we were given an insight into what went on behind the scenes in a watch business, including some of the cost prices and where all of the componentry came from. And so we were absolutely astonished that many of the famous Swiss watch brands that we had been drooling over, looking through for many years, all use the same componentry, often use the same factories. Although they were Swiss made, they were making cases in China. They were making bracelets in China. Yeah. And so we thought, well, and the movements at that stage, even ETA movements were proper Swiss made ETA movements, you were able to buy through China.
That's right.
So we were sort of surprised that this was the case, but decided that, and not only that, but that we could access all of these components. So we decided to go online. We now knew we could access some amazing componentry. We had met and were able to use some really great manufacturers. And so we decided that what we would do is we'd go online, be the first watch brand to go online. And in addition, instead of applying up to, and this is absolutely true, we found one Swiss watch brand, because we were given access to pricing. We found one very famous watch brand that I will not mention, but the cost price, let's say it was $100. Yeah.
Okay.
They were selling it for 3,400.
Yeah. It's all because of the brand, right?
Yeah, all because of the brand.
Right.
Now, a brand can have equity, and it can have a premium. We all know that. That's what brands are for. Yeah. That's why we're all in. But 34 times, we thought that was a bit naughty. So we decided that we would set out to only apply a 3 times margin. So 3 times the cost price, which nobody else in the watch industry had ever done before. And that meant that we were able to launch our very first watch, the C5 Malvern Automatic, including an ETA 28242 with 316L stainless steel, really lovely watch, at a price that nobody had ever seen in watchmaking before. And then we got lucky, because you do need luck. I think, we're just very lucky. And I think many people who end up having successful careers, most often they've been lucky. Yes. But we got lucky because we were advertising this watch. The sales were very slow. I mean, we were this is 2005. Things were slow. And then they started picking up. We had apart from us being marketing geniuses, we had no idea why people were buying this C5 Malvern Automatic from across the world. Suddenly we were getting orders from the US, from South Africa, from Australia. We had no idea why. And then just after Christmas, a Dutch guy, a guy called Hans van Hoekstraten, contacted us, phoned up. Would we like him to set up a forum devoted to Christopher Ward? And we said, well, yeah, sounds like a great idea. Why would you want to do that? I mean, we've only just started. He said, right. Do you not know? Have you no idea do you know what's going on? We went, no. He said, well, I've just been kicked off a forum called Time Zone. And because they think you're paying me to write about your watch. We've never come across you. Yeah, I know that, says Hans. But there's a guy who lives in Tasmania, a chap called Dave Malone, who had seen our advert for the watch and believed that we must be lying, that we couldn't possibly be selling that quality of watch at the price we were selling it at. So he bought one. So we shipped it to Tasmania. He's a lecturer at the university in Tasmania, or he was then. Shipped this watch unknowing, to Dave Malone. He was going to expose us.
Oh,
When
wow.
he got the watch, he was going to open. He was a well-known poster on Time Zone, knew about watches, a bit like you guys, knew his watches. Yeah, took the back plate off. Was going to expose us as clearly a Chinese copy. Yeah?
Oh man!
And to his, to our fortune, and to his credit, he realised that this was genuine. And then he posted this amazing post on Time Zone, which in 2004, guys, was the biggest forum about watches in the world. And so just before Christmas in 2005, just a few months after we'd started, he posted this post about us, saying he thinks he's found the best value luxury watch in the world. And it's from this brand no one's ever heard of, called Christopher Ward. And just before Christmas, as a result of him making that post, Christopher Ward, 5 months old, Christopher Ward, is being talked about on the world's biggest watch forum more than Rolex.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah?
Wow.
But the moderator, a guy called Michael Sander, who we didn't know, but we do now, Michael thought we must be paying all it. And then loads of people started buying them because of Dave Malone's post. Wow. That's why we were getting these orders from across the world, because people reading Dave Malone, highly respected, saying this is the best value watch in the world. So cool. People like Hans van Hoogstraten started buying them. They then sort of Michael Sanders started banning them because he thought we were. Do you know in poker there's a phrase called shilling? Mm-hmm. You know this, yeah. Mm-hmm. So a shill is somebody who's in the game, who's cheating, yeah.
Right.
So it's become, in internet terms, to be a shill is it's a bit like fake news. It's a bit like fake news, yeah. So we must be paying, yeah. But we didn't even know this was going on. Incredibly, that piece of luck started us off really. And Hans van Hoogstraten, we said, yeah, you can set up a forum by all means, but it's independent. You can say what you like about it. He set it up for 10 years. He ran it. He funded it entirely himself.
Wow.
In 10 years later, it had thousands and thousands of members. It's still going. He then had enough of it. We bought it off him for a very small amount of money. He just sort of wanted it to continue. But we don't have any editorial involvement. So we just allow it to run. You can post whatever you like about us, good, bad, indifferent. Yeah. And that's become another vehicle for people to find out about Christopher Ward, a very important vehicle. And so the Christopher Ward brand, although it was the first online watch retailer and watch brand, couldn't actually have existed without the internet. And word of mouth, as you all know, is the most powerful form of marketing. And we were very lucky that these guys spread. We call it, they spread the ward. Yeah. Across the world for us.
Clever.
Spread the ward. I like that.
and YouTube like wasn't even a thing back then, right? I mean,
not like it is now. No.
Now it's crazy, right? I mean, you can have this YouTuber, not us, because I mean we're small, but you can have these big YouTubers say something, and all of a sudden everybody just goes, "Let's go buy that," So that's the power of the internet. Is insane, man. It's insane.
It is really.
So, I wasn't gonna ask you this because I know you've mentioned it before, in different interviews or whatever. But people have asked you, so Christopher Ward, who is Christopher Ward, and what's the meaning of it? But I know, I think it's a fictionary.
No. There were three. No, not at all. There were three of us: me, Peter, and Chris Ward. Chris had been a friend of mine for
Ah.
20 odd years. And we founded the company. I came up with the idea for the company on his boat. About 4 weeks after Peter and I had sold Early Learning Centre. So, and then we were looking for a name for the brand, and we came up with MPC, Mike, Pete,
Okay.
Chris, but that was a bit like IWC.
Right.
We came up with Peter and my wife's maiden names, Fennel and Worswick, but that sounded a bit Dickensian, sort of bit 1780. But we wanted it to be something real. So I suggest, and therefore one of our names, well, Mike France for an English watch brand isn't particularly a great name for an English watch brand, and it doesn't scan that well. Peter Ellis is a bit dull, but Christopher Ward has a really great scan.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yeah.
Has a great scan, and it's a very English name. So we said, right, we're going to call it after you, Chris. Chris has been was along for the ride until a couple of years ago when he left.